And what's happening out there, you beautiful people? Oh, sorry, my audio was just on the loud side there. I'd say. Hopefully, my audio is coming through a bit better there. I just noticed that I was like redlining the old If I can, I don't know what that thing is called. The old sound mixer thing. What's happening, Podge? You're only following me now, Podge. What's going on, Podge? Oh, over on Twitch. Yes, go on, Podge, you legend. Nice one. I thought that was maybe an old Facebook follow there or something popping up. Nice one for that, Podge. And anybody else out there in Facebook or YouTube land, guys, if you've got a Twitch account, go over and give me an old follow and bit of support over there as well. Oh, look at this. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Go on and zoom in. Oh, yes. I wonder, can I, like, use the camera and zoom in a little bit better? Oh, my goodness. Talk about high quality. Ooh-wee. Can we get closer? Can we get closer? Oh, ladies. Yes. Gotta love the new camera. Man Falls, what's happening, lad? Where are ye at? Twitch is the spot. Nice one for that, Man Falls, you legend. It's good to see that you're over there anyway, flying the Twitch flag. Again, I've no hated the other places of YouTube and stuff like that. Although after listening to the recent Joe Rogan podcast there with Brett Weinstein and the doctor guy, your man Cordy something, I think was his name, Cordy Anderson, I think maybe. But freaking hell, man, YouTube doing some serious censoring there around conversations on different medical treatment, I suppose, really, in lights of the recent pandemic. But I'm not going to go into any of that because I don't want my video to get pulled. That's not the topic of conversation here at all today. The topic of conversation is drug policy reform in Ireland. That's always the focus of the show. With a primary focus in and around cannabis, but I do delve into other areas also. Irish hemp harvest, lovely bud. Yeah, it's oh man, sticky fingers after breaking that one up and loading her up there into the old grinder. She's a big old grinder as well. You won't be sticking this in your pocket. I've shared that story, like, you know, the only reason I've got such a big grinder is I got caught with too many grinders in the bloody past, and I was just like, right, I'm getting a big one that I won't put in my pocket. So yes, there she is. Yes, guys, I'll get stuck into the news in a couple of seconds. Don't worry, we've got plenty of news actually lined up today. I believe there's 11 headlines actually to get through, so I should probably not be fucking procrastinating hair grinding buds and showing them off and all of this stuff, and actually just get stuck into what you're all here to hear, the news. But obviously we can't start the news without a little bit of civil disobedience. Excellent. This is lovely. So packing up a bowl of freedom here. A bowl of freedom. Fighting for our freedom it is. Going to offer up to the higher powers and that they might come and assist us in our fight for freedom here in Ireland. And to the other freedom fighters across the globe as well. There's much oppression going on out there to our community. And guys, this is for all of you. May it help in some way. Right, a shout out to everybody who's after getting a comment in there so far that I see. We have Mark Andrew. What's going on, Mark? The familiar gurgle of Martin's fanfare. Nice. Hype TCK, what's going on? Hype TCK, great seeing the audience as always. And Irish Hemp Harvest out there. Mistowes, Podge 85, Slimmer Slime. What's going on, Slimmer Slime? That's one of the new names there. You might have been present before, but yeah, I just can't recall calling out your name before. R420 supplies out there as well, guys. Check them out, r420.ie, guys, for all your essentials for the community. Great old store above there in Port Arlington that I still have to visit. We've Podge 85 as well, Man Falls, Bogwan's son, Jim Macon. All right, Martin, first time commenter. What's happening, Jim? Are you a first time viewer as well, or have you been kind of just lurking in the shadows? Welcome along anyway, Jim. A nice one for the old comment there as well. Amy Riley's out there as well, and Tracy McKay is over there on Facebook as well. What's happening, Tracy? Tracy's saying, hi from Derry. Do you think it will help with my cancer? Well, Tracy, in terms of helping with cancer, I suppose cancer causes other things, such as maybe for some of the medications, let's say around cancer that you might be taking, you could have a loss of appetite. Well, then cannabis could certainly help with stimulating your appetite if maybe that's something that you need help with. If you're suffering with pain, there's certainly evidence there to show that cannabis can help with chronic pain as well. So a lot of people would suffer with pain because of their cancer. So if that's something you suffer with, yes, it could certainly help alleviate some of that pain too. And, any of the other kind of ailments there that come along with cancer, there's many of them that cannabis has been shown to help, as well as it has been shown to have anti-tumor, anti-cancer properties. But again, this all needs more evidence, blah, blah, blah. We have to kind of say that nonsense. But yeah, will it help with your cancer? If you suffer with other kind of things there that come with cancer, it certainly would. Even if it's nausea to do with chemo, if you were to be getting chemo treatment for your cancer, again, cannabis has been shown to be very beneficial there. In fact, it's actually one of the listed reasons for use under the medical cannabis access program here in Ireland. So yeah, there you go. So certainly evidence to show that cannabis can help with people's cancer. Again, that's not saying that cannabis cures cancer. I am not saying cannabis cures your cancer. You can't just use cannabis and it's going to cure your cancer. That's not what I'm saying. Again, listen, just go back, rewind. Cannabis can help with the symptoms people experience as a result of having cancer. So, I hope my video doesn't get pulled over that one there again, Still see 29 of you up there in the YouTube audience, so all good. Right, let's get stuck into the news anyway, guys. And the first headline I have for you today, guys, is a familiar one from the last 2 weeks, or 2 episodes as well. The 420 the July 10th protest above in the Pheonix Park. Kicking off at 2 p.m. above there, guys. Again, just to remind you, if you're a first-time viewer of the show, you mightn't have seen this before. So just make sure you're there. It's an opportunity for the whole community right across the island of Ireland to come together and to stand up for a right to be able to grow and use the cannabis plant and all that comes from it. So again, guys, July 10th, 2 p.m, Pheonix Park, Dublin. Please do your best to be there. I understand people might not be able to make it. You could be down in the back, Sha'Carri, funds are tight, you gotta watch your kids. You know what I mean? That's fine. But look, if you're out there and you can attend, do your best to be able to share it. Tell your friends, share it around on social media, and just help encourage others to come along to it too if you can't make it yourself. So again, just a reminder, July 10th, 2 p.m, Pheonix Park, Dublin. Opportunity for the whole community to take a stand, to send a message to the powers that be that we're sick and tired of the oppression that we're after experiencing because of this silly prohibition around the plant. There we go. Sorry, just looking around for me. Ishka. So again, guys, just leave that up there for one more second. And we drive on. And Jared Kelly is saying, Tracy, look up RSO oil, full bud. Also have a look at the documentary Run From the Cure by Rick Simpson. Very well worth the watch. I'll fix my hat there, my face is in the shadows. Definitely Run From the Cure is a good documentary around cannabis and its use in cancer again, but take it with a pinch of salt, some of the claims there made within that documentary as well. Again, just read into it more. That's quite an old documentary as well. There's probably newer ones as well, more up to date. So other headlines, guys. So Frankie Boy. Frankie Feighan is making the headlines today. So Frank Feighan has welcomed the publication of the National Drug and Alcohol Survey by the Health Research Board. So again, he's just coming out, and I think it's pats in the back here for himself, taking claims where there's no need for claims at all. So within some of the findings of the survey, there was a finding that the use of cannabis actually had decreased. So he came out and saying that, like, oh yeah, cannabis use decreased, this is great. Do you know what it decreased from? It decreased from 6.4 down to 5.9. Or 6.5, sorry, down to 5.9. So a 0.6% decrease. It's not this statistically significant in relation to the number of people taking this, and to the variance of the people taking it too, based upon the last population. Again, it's a slight difference. It's definitely not statistically significant at all, like in order to be kind of saying like, oh, we've seen a decrease in cannabis use. It's not at all. You look at the cannabis being seized out there. Come on, it's not what we're seeing out there in our communities. Like the use of cannabis is certainly not decreasing by any means. And to make a claim off the back of a survey, and on such a small change as well, it's rather disingenuous, Frankie boy. But Frank isn't the most honest of politicians, really, is he? There was an interesting question asked within the survey, and it asked the survey participants who were addicted to drugs and how they were perceived. And the most common response in the survey was that the drug addicts viewed themselves as a patient more than a criminal. So there was almost 50% of the survey respondents who viewed themselves as a drug addict would have seen themselves as somebody who needed care, as a patient, rather than a criminal. Or also somebody who might be self-medicating, again, fitting a patient rather than a criminal. Only less than 9% of those actually said that they view themselves as a criminal. So again, that's definitely something that needs to be acted upon. And Frank Feighan has made a claim, that what was his comment there on the health-led? He goes, I am committed to a health-led approach to drug use. The Department of Health is leading on the implementation of the health diversion programme for individuals found in possession of drugs for personal use, which will offer compassion, not punishment, to people who use drugs. I look forward to the commencement of the health diversion programme in 2021. That's a lot of BS. The health diversion program is in no way useful at all to a person who is addicted to drugs, because for it to be beneficial to them, they need to be diverted straight away from their drug use on the first time being caught. Because if they get caught the second time, well, they're getting a caution in the second time in this diversion program. And the third time they get caught, well, no, sorry, you're going back to the judge then at that time. But as one of the kind of an ex-drug addict, James Leonard, pointed out, he was like, I could get caught with heroin 3 times in a day, or he goes, I could get caught with my drugs 3 times in a day, because that's the life of an addict. The guard catches you on the street, he takes your drugs off you, and you're back on the street then, and the guard is gone. Well, you're just going to go get more drugs now, and he could get caught with them, and he going to do the same thing again, because that's how easy it was to get drugs. You don't even need cash half of the time to get it. And as a person addicted to a substance, then that's a very, very vulnerable place to be left in. So for Frank to be claiming that he's taking a health-led approach to drug use, Frank, would you please come forward and provide what evidence that you've used to base this approach on? Where is the evidence? Because all of the evidence that I've seen to date has shown that the prohibition of drugs is counterproductive to health-led approaches to drug use in our society. It diverts people into the hands of criminals rather than the hands of professionals who can care and provide protection for these people. So Frank, sorry, buddy, man, you're a langer. You really need to kind of take a proper, honest look at this. Because it's completely disingenuous, your approach here. It's anti-health. That's exactly what it is. If I have to go get my cannabis, if I have to go get my MDMA or my magic mushrooms or whatever drug of choice it might be, again, a legal drug user, like, you know, whatever illegal drug I have to get, I'm at the mercy of a criminal, I suppose, at that point, who could sell me anything, you know. Go down and buy a bag of magic mushrooms and you come back and you got some shiitakes, you know? Like, and while that's not too dangerous, like, you could also come back, and if you're not none the wiser, like, you could come back with some poisonous mushrooms too. Like, you just don't know what the chances are out there. That's just one example. We could look at pills, which is a much more common example where people are getting ripped off, because, you know, a lot of people don't get ripped off around mushrooms, really. But when it comes to pills and stuff, man, the danger is serious there, like. And this is their health-led approach then, from the HSE. I'm just going to pop this up on screen. This is going around there above on Facebook, one of their sponsored ads. So, like, this is their health-led approach. But can you guys tell me, what are you learning from this? Like, where is the harm reduction in this? Which one is super strength? High strength equals high risk. Like, what? This is our money being used for this kind of messaging. How does this help a young person? Okay, you're some 17, 18, 19-year-old about to go off to electric picnic there in September. What? How is this helping them at all? Like, where's the value for money in this at all? And there's somebody getting paid money to do this, to create this bloody image, and to go around and spout this bloody nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Now, in fairness, you go over to the drugs.ie and stuff. They do have some somewhat useful information up there in terms of harm reduction. But this, like, man, what in the name of God are we doing? We're spending money on what? Stupid. I just don't understand it at all. Somebody was paid to create this image and they sponsored it. This popped up on my Facebook this morning. And I was just like, I'm capturing this because that was a sponsored ad, and the little message then to it, you click the link, you're brought to a thing, and it's like, oh yeah, know your dose, take half a pill, to go low, start slow, go slow. Why isn't that in the main part of the image? Why isn't the harm reduction message in the image? In terms of effectiveness of delivery of the message, like, this tells me very little. This is something that any drug user knows anyway, you know? There was other findings of that survey then as well that was released. It was overall the use of illegal drugs has remained at the similar level to the recorded use in 2014-2015 survey, but an increase has been seen, however, in the use of cocaine and ecstasy. And Frank had some comments then to add in on that. He goes, I am pleased the increase in the use of ecstasy underlines the need for effective harm reduction measures which make our nighttime economy a safer place. The Department of Health has provided funding to the HSE to develop a national harm reduction campaign to raise awareness of the risks associated with drug use, which will be publicly available later this year. And again, this is part of that money spent by the HSE, our money. Irish people's money, or sorry, not Irish people, or the citizens of Ireland's money, you know, the taxpayers' money. So it's ridiculous that this is what goes on out there, you know, when in fact, like, electric picnic is going on there now later this year. There's somewhat of a return to nightlife now at the moment. Like, in light of this recent kind of finding of the survey, why isn't there more availability to drug users to test their drugs out there in society? Why? Why are we paying for these stupid posters advertising drug dealers pills for them, and instead of using our money to go away and hire people who could go out there and onto the streets of Cork, you know, set up a mobile drug testing lab? It's not too hard. Have a look at what we view drug testing, mobile drug consumption lab or room. But again, this very same thing could be set up for a mobile drug testing lab where you know, you're out there, you're going out for a few pints, you have a bag of coke, and there's a lab over there. You go over, there's an amnesty in the area. There's going to be an assurance that there'll be no guards in the area who are going to stop and search you when you approach or leave the van and take your drug. And buddy, when it comes to the two health-led approaches to drug use, you're ignoring the drug users out there who are trying to engage with you on a daily bloody basis, Frank. Come on, man. You're not, like, You're a waste of taxpayers' money, Frank. Sorry, buddy, but you are. Like, get off my screen. I'm sick of fucking looking at you with your stupid smile, man. Oh, it really does annoy me, like, because, you know, there's going to be people go out there now again, and electric picnics happening apparently this September later than usual, and there's going to be a lot of people engaged in drug use, and I really do hope that there's going to be drug testing services afforded above there to people who engage in drug use while attending festivals, because it's a human thing to fucking do, like. To criminalise people for human nature, for human behaviour is just sick. Cocaine use has increased across all age groups. Men aged 25 to 34 are more likely to report cocaine use in the last year. The findings of the survey represent a significant increase in the use when compared to the same cohort of 2014-2015 survey. So again, business is good for drug dealers out there. There's drug dealers out there making fucking millions, hundreds of millions off the back of people who are using the drugs, and we're missing out on that. Why can't we just sort this out? Like, we could protect the people who use the drugs. It's going to happen anyway. We've been fucking failing at preventing it through criminalising people for the last 50 years. All we've done is made it more dangerous for them. Like, is that what our goal is? To make it more dangerous, to try to deter people, and sure, the people who die as a result of this kind of approach to make it more dangerous, sure, they're just casualties in this war on drugs, do you know? And it's okay. That's a sick fucking approach. Like, it's anti-human at this stage, like. Ecstasy is the second most commonly used drug in the last 12 months after cannabis, and has increased in prevalence from 1.8% to 2.2%. The recent use of ecstasy among 15 to 64-year-olds has risen from 2.1% then to 2.7% when compared to the past survey. While cannabis is the most prevalent illegal drug in Ireland, the use of cannabis has shown a decrease from 6.5% down to 5.9% when compared with the past survey. A significant decrease in the instances of cannabis use disorder was also recorded. And again, you look at cannabis use disorder, like, and that's another sham dreamed up by these bloody lunatics who are just hell-bent in demonizing cannabis. Like, because you look into the definition of cannabis use disorder, if you use cannabis and you experience a withdrawal of it, you've experienced cannabis use disorder almost, like, you know what I mean? If you use cannabis and you don't get good sleep tonight, well, that's cannabis use disorder. And this is lunatic stuff. If you use cannabis, or if you stop using cannabis and you experience pains and stuff, it's cannabis use disorder. Again, don't fall for these stupid labels dreamed up by a bunch of lunatics. As that's what they are. They're hell-bent on doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and that's a lunatic. Crazy people. That's you, Frank. The majority of respondents, 70.9%, expressed disapproval or strong disapproval for smoking cannabis regularly, and there is a low level of support for permitting cannabis for recreational use. 26%. There was 26% of people didn't want to allow. So what they don't talk is there's 75% of people wanted cannabis to be allowed. So, like, there is a low level of support, 26.2% for permitting cannabis use. Oh, sorry, no, actually, I got that wrong. There was 76% of people didn't want to allow it for recreational use. I would question the legitimacy of this survey. Maybe they had their own people out there just banging in a few, like, or maybe they just kind of twisted the numbers a bit. Like, would they have really published a report that said 75% of people who done the survey? Do you know? Like, who are the people doing it? Like, are these people up there above in the HSE? Or, like, if you're above there in Coonvera, as part of your program, you have to do the survey there for the HSE. Have a think about it, like, for a second. Like, you know, the people who might be doing this, like, in order to get this result. Because you take a look at the recent poll above in, on the journal.ie, and, you know, almost over 19,000 people took part in this poll. Over 19,000 people, like, you know, again, many of this could be bots, whatever. Look, you can call it what you will. There's a potential here for this to be twisted too. But it's a largely different view of it. 80% of people voted in favour of cannabis to be decriminalised for adult use, while only 16.5% voted against it. That's kind of a very large, significant difference to what the findings were of the other survey, which again would bring to question the population that actually engaged with the survey in the first place. Did they just have a bunch of people above there in the addiction services through the HSE to engage in the survey? So many of these people, as you probably might have witnessed on the Eating with the Enemy show that I was on, where I was sitting across the table from Cormac, I think his name was Connor. Can't remember the guy's name, but he was after coming through this 12 steps program, you know, and the whole kind of thing above in Coomvera. I think was Cool Minds, I think he said he might have been a part of. But again, like he was after being brainwashed by these people, because he was vulnerable. He was looking for a way in order to get help, and these people preyed upon him. Do you know, they basically signed him up to what was what could be described as a cult. Do you know, it helped him, like it got him on a better path. Like, but then you've seen, like, if you go and watch that show, the Eating with the Enemy episode that I was on, like you can kind of see how he was being very judgmental towards me at the time, but he wasn't being very honest with me either when engaging with me in conversation. He held back some of his views on me, but he was very judgmental then afterwards. So, you know, you have to wonder, like, he might be better off, but is he a better person as a result? But Frankie by then anyway had comments to express. Just one final finding: polydrug use has increased when compared to the PRAS survey. In 1/4 of those who reported illegal drug use, who reported use of at least 3 illegal drugs. So 25% compared to 15% in the past one. That's an interesting survey, because again that highlights the need for maybe a bit more education out there around the dangers of polydrug use, because many people are probably engaged in drinking alcohol and taking cocaine. Like, again, that could be a dangerous thing to engage in. Look, if you're going to go out there and engage in cocaine use, then maybe it's better to be having shandies or something, like, you know, decrease the amount of alcohol inside in your beverage, because it's not really going to have an effect on you in terms of get you drunk. It's not going to get you to that level, like, so you should be maybe going for a non-alcoholic beverage then, like that would be my way of thinking anyway. Again, you know, that would be a much more better approach to this polydrug use. Again, looking at other drugs, I don't know what the breakdown of the drugs use was there, but you could look at these things and talk about this and help educate people to divert them away from drugs that would interact with each other in a dangerous way in the human body. And alcohol, you know, is probably not one of the better ones, like. But anyway, Frankie said that while it's positive to see the overall use of illegal drugs use remain stable, there are worrying trends regarding the increase in the use of cocaine and ecstasy and the prevalence of polydrug use. These trends will be addressed as part of the midterm review of our national drug strategy. I look forward to that, Frank. I'll hold you on your word, and I'll certainly be looking in and examining what your approach is. So I hope it's up to standards, you know, and using best available evidence out there, and not just the evidence coming in from your biased parties that you've been working with all along, like the Cannabis Risk Alliance, you lunatic, yeah. He also said that I am pleased, however, to see a decrease not only in the use of cannabis but also in the instances of cannabis use disorder when compared to the past survey. I also note that there is little support to permitting cannabis use to be used recreationally, and the dangers of this drug have been well documented. Have they, Frank? Have they been well documented? Come on, Frank, come on out with the dangers of this drug, you know, and the well documenting of them, because, you know, when you look into some of these surveys and studies, they're not actually well done. They're terribly designed. That the results aren't actually or the conclusions of these studies are not always honest reflections of the results of the studies. And of the methods as well, and the way in which the studies have been carried out. Quite often they're designed in ways in which to construe the results then afterwards, you know. So again, you know, why aren't we talking about the evidence there, Frank, in terms of cannabis use? Why aren't we talking about the hundreds of people out there who are using cannabis illegally, Frank, for chronic pain? Because you're remaining ignorant to the not only the evidence, but to the cries and the pleas from the people out there who need access to this for their chronic pain, and you're doing nothing about it. You're not engaging with these people at all. Almost as if these people don't matter to you, Frank, because they're engaged in illegal drug use. You know, you're talking about you're happy to see it go down. You would be very happy if these people had no access at all to cannabis for their chronic pain, wouldn't you? And they're suffering as a result, or relying on even more toxic alternatives, you know, such as the heavy or dangerous opioids that are available currently for chronic pain. You know, Alicia Maher, who's stuck in Alicante, Frank, you know, and hashtag bring Alicia home. But Alicia was on over 30 different pain medications, or 30 tablets a day, taking 30 tablets a day to treat her pain. And it wasn't until she got access to cannabis that she really seen a better improvement in the quality of her life. Do you know, and Frank disregards that. You know, another study coming out of the UK recently, off the back of the Project 2021, they're after showing that patients have experienced an almost 50%, over 50% increase in their quality of life. And this isn't just, you know, using kind of how rate your quality of life. No, this is actually using a kind of a study standard, I don't know, an industry standard, in order to obtain a rating of quality of life. It's using the EQ5D5L rating. So I don't know if you're a person out there who kind of looks into these studies, you might understand what that is. But for me, that just signifies what's a standard in studies, you know. So this could be correlated to other studies also. It's replicable. That's the word I was thinking of. Which is basically, as I say here, the standard to quantify the well-being of patients with serious conditions such as cancer. The researchers claimed that the patients in the study are in much poorer health than the general public. It is now reported that the legally prescribed cannabis that provides clinically significant improvements in the quality of life of patients living with conditions such as chronic pain, Frank, multiple sclerosis, Tourette syndrome, epilepsy, post-traumatic stress disorder. The study found a 51% increase in patients' self-reported health and ability to lead a normal life. So again, this isn't to be ignored. This needs to be acted upon. Like, there needs to be better access to cannabis for patients in Ireland, and this prohibition around it needs to end once and for all. Look at the damage that's been done out there. Like in a later bit of the news, they talk about the money being made of the criminal gangs, but how many of the thousands of patients are actually buying cannabis to self-medicate? Whether it be to treat depression, anxiety, to stimulate their appetite, or for chronic pain. And they're filling the pockets of criminals, then criminal gangs, in order to do so. And in fact, we could set up simple cooperatives, much like what they've done in America, right across many states in America now. There's community efforts where people are growing and supplying cannabis to people within their community. A lot of it under the model of not-for-profit, where it's not capitalist-driven. Again, that's better for the patients quite often, because there's a drive for quality and a drive to keep the cost down also for in order to give a low-cost medicine to the patients. Why aren't we doing that here in Ireland? Because we want that. We want to keep our war on drugs going, because, you know, our fucking Drew Harris and the boys out there, you know, they want to exceed an increase in their budget every year. Do you know what I mean? Because they won't be able to get an old raise if they don't. And the only way to do that then is through statistics and they're lying in numbers and all of this kind of nonsense. And that brings us on to the next headline, which is recreational drug use has been labelled a dangerous misnomer by Drew Harris, the Garda commissioner. That's what he is. And this is coming off of the back that when it was announced that there was multiple millions of euros of drugs seized in 2020, increased upon previous years. So I think they're saying, is it 24 million they're saying here? Like, that sounds like it's 24 million worth of drugs seized in 2020. I think that's way undervalued. I said it was way more than 24 million worth of drugs seized in 2020. Surely. But I don't know. That sounds way off. But the figures come as the An Garda Síochána announced Operation Tara, an enhanced national anti-drug strategy, commenced on July 1st. So that started yesterday. So Operation Tara, as basically, it aims to protect communities from the scourge of illegal drugs. Sounds great, doesn't it? And it will focus on individuals and groups involved in the drugs trade and will be the target of enforcement activity based on intelligence and the latest crime trends. And the Garda Commissioner Drew Harris said that anyone who uses illegal drugs is putting money in the pockets of drug cartels. Well, sorry, Drew Harris, I'd hate to inform you, but it's actually the prohibitionists out there who are putting the money into the pockets of the drug cartels. Because if we didn't have prohibition, then these drug cartels wouldn't have basically a monopoly on the providing of the substance of choice for whoever it is that's to consume it out there. And people have a wide variety of choices. Not everybody wants to consume alcohol and tobacco, or sugar, which is another drug, or caffeine, which is another drug. No, many people want to consume mushrooms. Many people want to consume LSD, MDMA, cocaine. Some people want to consume heroin. Like, why are we putting this stuff into the control of criminals instead of just providing access to these people who just wake up in the morning and for whatever reason it is, it's that each individual is different. Their choice coming forward to consume a drug is a lot of the times it's different. But why are we making them to go to criminals? Why are we wasting so much money? Like, as part of this Operation Tara, there's going to be 321 members that are going to be on a full-time assignment to the Divisional Drugs Unit across every Garda division. 321 guards that are just basically full-time drugs. That's it. That's sick. That's fecked up, man. That's fecked up at a time when there's a scandal going on out there around the dropping of calls, not following up on serious crimes, over 3,000 domestic violence cases not followed up upon. What in the name of God are we doing? And 321 guards going on out there just for drugs. And not just any kind of drug use, but low-level drug use. There was a little piece there that I wanted to share with you from, it was up on... Sorry, no, I'm just going to get this up there. Where is me Chrome? There we go. Right, I'll get this up on screen there for you. Sorry, 1 second, guys. But it was an old clip on the RT News which featured, and I hate if I can play on anything from the RT News, but there was some comments up there from our old Garda Commissioner. So I think it's worthy of just kind of giving it to him for a second. So 1 second there now, guys. There we go.
The Gardaí seized over €8 million from organised crime gangs last year, a tenfold increase in 5 years, according to new figures released today. At the launch of a new nationally coordinated Garda operation to target middle and street-level drug dealers, the head of the Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau said the crack cocaine was replacing heroin as the drug of choice in the most deprived parts of the country.
It was important to stop there in a second, like, because they hit on something there in the most deprived parts of the country. So they're going to be focusing their efforts now on areas where people are already kind of doing not doing so well. You know what I mean? They're impoverished. Do you know? This is terrible policy in the making here, like.
According to the Gardaí, with more people now taking cocaine. Over €7 million worth of the drug was seized last year, a threefold increase in 3 years. In deprived areas, the Gardaí...
And again, just to pause it here for a second, like, look on the table here, like, the guns, man, look at these guns and the drugs. Like, this is all because of prohibition, like, you know what I mean? You show me a pub out there in Ireland that has these kind of guns. You know, you show me an off licence out there where they're getting young people to sell their drink on the street from, and they're giving them guns and knives in order to kind of enforce the payments of the debts that's owed to them. You know, regulation works. Like, this is sick what we're seeing right here.
You say crack cocaine is replacing heroin and today they announced a new nationwide operation targeting middle and low-level on-street drug dealers. Over 300...
And there, that comment there, like the new operation that's going to be targeting a low level and on a street drug dealers. But in fairness, like, what have they been doing for the last 20 years, if not that? Because they're Daniel Kinahan, sure, like, do you know what I mean? If they got him, no, but he's out there and he's promoting for the boxers and everything, right? Manager for fucking Tyson Fury or whatever he was, like, you know? That's kind of high level drug dealing and stuff. Like, they're not targeting these guys anymore. No, instead they're going to target the young fella above in Dublin there on the street who gets a little bit too much cannabis. He gets indebted into an older drug dealer then who knew exactly what he was doing and giving the young fella the cannabis that he couldn't afford in the first place. And now the young fella has got to run the drugs around the place, you know what I mean? And then the guards are out there targeting the young fella. And if the young fella gets caught, quite often than not, the drug dealer will want payment for those drugs that he got caught with, because he'll say, you know, you were acting suspiciously. Look, because the guards even said it. Look in the report there in the court, you were acting suspiciously. And that's your fault. You owe me an extra fucking €1,000 there now for the bag of crack cocaine that you were running across the road there for me, like. And meanwhile, like, all the young fella was doing at the first place was getting a little bit of weed for himself, like, and he, you know, like that's just an exaggeration maybe of it, like a potential scenario out there. And this is who they're going to be targeting now. Like, are we happy as taxpayers for them to be doing this? Like, if not, speak up, people.
20 Gardaí have now been assigned full-time to the divisional drug units all over the country. A new drug-related intimidation reporting programme has been established where Gardaí say drug users and their families can go in confidence to report violence and threats to them over drug deaths, and action will be taken.
So instead of providing a safe and regulated avenue for people to get access, addicts, let's say, to get access to their drug of choice, and instead of them becoming indebted and filling the pockets of these organised crime gangs, no, we're going to set up and expend more taxpayers, waste more taxpayers' money, setting up a hotline, as a new service, you know, within the Gardaí, who are already fucking stretched to the limits, man. If they weren't stretched to the limits, why were they dropping all those fucking calls? But we're going to do that. We're going to set up a new kind of avenue there to provide help for people who fall prey to, again, another set of failed policies of the government. Again, if we just set up a safe and regulated avenue for drug users to get access to the drugs, there wouldn't be people getting into such fucking drug debt, and there wouldn't be a need for the Gardaí to be focusing on what they're calling here a low level and street dealing, you know, because the only people who get caught up in that is poor people and people who are addicted to drugs. That's pretty much it, you know.
No matter how small the debt is or how small the amount of money that has been demanded, you know, it is a huge impact for the family members involved, and we are determined, as I say, to tackle it. And no matter how small the amount, we ask people to come forward.
But many drug counsellors and community workers don't believe this so-called war on drugs works, and over 100 of them are now calling for a new approach, including legalisation.
Hold up here, RT. Where are these people, like? Do you know? Where are these people? Why aren't you giving these people a voice, like?
The Garda Commissioner said
no, we'll go back to the Garda Commissioner again.
I don't believe that we would just see the absence of organised crime groups. Should we legalise all of these drugs tomorrow, there'd be huge public health issues,
scare
but there'd be
tactics,
ongoing crime issues as well.
Gardaí say this operation is about disrupting the business model of organised crime groups by targeting their drug markets in local areas and instilling confidence in the Gardaí. However, those working with community groups in those areas are becoming increasingly frustrated at what they see as the inability of the state agencies as a whole to tackle the ongoing drugs problem in their areas. Paul Reynolds, RTE News, Dublin.
So that's RTE News' contribution, I suppose, to it. Like, but it's an absolute joke in fairness. Yeah, it's man, Bhagwan son, they don't have a clue, man. You're hitting the nail on the head. They don't. They're spouting complete nonsense when it comes to our approach to dealing with drug use in our society. Again, we look at alcohol, we look at tobacco. While there's harms associated with these drugs, the regulation of them reduces those harms. The education around these drugs helps people. Hell, let's look at sugar, man. Educating people about sugar consumption is fucking one great way in order to reduce the harms around that drug. And banning it is not. Imagine if we banned all like sugar, white sugar, that granulated stuff, because it's addictive if anything, man. Do you know, imagine if we done that, you know, and then kids out there selling, like, you know, all sorts of crazy shit out in, like, you know, what a mess we would be making. No, man, regulation works. Recreational drug use labelled as a dangerous misnomer. You serious to ours, man? What about the prohibition? Like, the prohibition of drugs is a seriously dangerous policy that's after empowering organised crime gangs to amass multiple millions of euro in order to corrupt their police force. That's what's happened because of prohibition. Like, that's how dangerous prohibition is. But you won't go on and talk about that. RT won't even have on any of the 100 of campaign of the, what do they call them, youth workers who've called upon the government to legalise and regulate these drugs, you know, in order to end this prohibition that sees the Gardaí targeting quite often or not the younger communities, younger members of these communities. And as they say in Operation Tara now, like they're unashamedly admitting that's who they're going targeting now, like. So you got your young fella above there walking around in whatever housing estate, Darndale, that's one that comes to mind there, like, and, you know, he's got his Canada Goose jacket, like, and he's now going to be stopped and searched by the cops to see if he's dealing, like, because, you know, if you've got a Canada Goose jacket, you must be dealing, like. You know, if you got a flashy watch there, you must be dealing, like, it's not just a gift for your mum and dad for Christmas, like, you know, no, you're a drug dealer and you're going to get stopped and searched now. And they talk about trying to reinstill fucking faith within the Gardaí and the communities. Man, the prohibition of drugs has driven a major wedge. Like, they couldn't be further apart, the Gardaí and the communities. It's ridiculous. Guys, nice one, Mustawiz and Bhagwan's son saying that we are soft on the government, time for change. Guys, get up. Fight for this. Like, we are on the right side of the argument here in terms of calling for change to end this prohibition. This prohibition has done nothing but empower organised crime gangs to recruit our kids into their ranks, and it's sickening. It's sickening to see how many young people have lost their lives over the years that could have been avoided. The young people who've lost their lives because of contaminated drugs when MDMA is PMMA instead of, you know, it being what it should have been. Just, that's ridiculous. You know, when people are getting cocaine cut with even more dangerous bloody chemicals, it's just ridiculous. Like, and the lads talking about a health-led approach. If you really want to have a health-led approach, Frank, talk to the people who went to Portugal there a number of years ago. There was a number of members of the Irish government went to Portugal on a fact-finding mission on the benefits of decriminalisation. And again, as we highlighted with Graham de Barracassis, the drug ass here on the show through the Support Unpunished special, there's been many benefits, such as mobile drug consumption rooms, where drug users can now come and use their drug in a safe space where they're given access to clean supplies. If you're an injecting drug user, which is probably one of the more vulnerable communities of people who use drugs out there, they're given access to clean needles. But more importantly, to the wider community, they're given access to bins. And then those bins, which is even better again afterwards, those bins, they go and test the needles then afterwards. You know, they can test the substances that the drug users have used at the mobile drug consumption rooms. And then they can relay that information back to the users to kind of say, hey, come here, look, some of the heroin that we tested there are some of the drugs that you were injecting, whether you were injecting cocaine or whatever it was, crack cocaine. That was contaminated with X, Y, and Z, like, you know, that's fucking incredible stuff to be able to do. And these all benefits of decriminalisation. That's just decriminalisation. They're not even providing access to the drugs and doing that, like, and that in itself would provide an even and I don't know how to even put it. You know, just a major layer of protection to consumers of drugs in our communities, because it's just completely absent now. Yeah, I'm gonna blaze up another bowl there before we get stuck into the next one, because the next headline, guys, is a really depressing one. Like, I shared it about there earlier on Twitter. So this is a little self-medication here now to help me deal with what is going to be a horrible story next. Not as horrible as some of the other stories, I suppose, but it's just fucking another form of discrimination because of cannabis. So the next headline, guys. The sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson was banned for 1 month from the Olympics after she failed a drug test for cannabis. So this is absolutely ridiculous. She consumed cannabis in a place where it was legal to do so. And despite this, she's now been banned from competing in the Olympics for a month. And her last race, which she ran on, I believe it was I don't want to get this one wrong now. She ran on the 19th of June. So on the 19th of June, she ran a 10.86 second 100-meter sprint. That's an amazing accomplishment, man. I couldn't run 100 meters in 20 seconds. Never mind saying doing it in almost 10 seconds, like 10.86 seconds. She ran 100 meters. And they're trying to discredit that, not trying to take that away from her. They're trying to disqualify her even from that because of her cannabis use. It's crazy. So she was tested while at the Olympic trials and she failed over there. And now because of that, she's after being given a 30-day suspension, which is effectively going to ban her from the 100-meter dash. But if her qualification still stands, then she might be able to compete in the 4x100-meter relay, which is another race there that will take place after the 30-day suspension is up. So fingers crossed there she gets to compete in that relay race. But it's absolutely appalling that she's after being discriminated against for her cannabis use. And then when she let it out as to why she was using cannabis, she was after consuming cannabis because of the passing of, I don't know, was it her mother or her stepmother? Damn it, apologies there, I should have looked that one up. I think it might have been her mother had passed, or maybe her stepmother had passed, and she was using cannabis then to help deal with that. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. It's not performance enhancing, for this kind of a feat anyway. Like, they talk about it here. They say that like she'd be disqualified because it was found that she was using it while she was running, while she was training for running. That's sad, man. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. I have another picture of Sha'Carri Richardson. I'll pop it up on screen there. Sorry, I forgot to set this one up here. Like, there's Sha'Carri. So Sha'Carri Richardson running. Quite an accomplishment to make, to be able to run 10.86 seconds, 100 meters in 10.86 seconds, and to have taken away from you now your ability to compete simply because you used a cannabis plant. This is horrendous. Like, how can you do this to people? Like, imagine what that's going to do to the person's mental health. The only reason cannabis is banned then from the Olympics, from AWADA, is because it's a drug of abuse. That's ridiculous. Like, it's a drug of abuse. It's not even a performance enhancing drug. It's a drug of abuse. Why is this even come into it? Like, it's almost political kind of a thing. Like, shouldn't come in whether a drug is illegal or not. It's like you should stick to the sport. And is it performance enhancing or is it not? And if it's not in the banned list for being performance enhancing, then it should not be there at all. But who cares if it's illegal out there in wider society? It shouldn't be. In fact, it wasn't illegal where she was using it. Messed up, like. It really is messed up, like. I made another little photo then there of Sha. Because they were saying, like, it's not as if she was, like, using it while she was running. So, like, imagine, like, like, come on, like. She was using it to help deal with the passing of a loved one. And unfortunately, you're banning her then because of it's a drug of an abuse. It's also a medicinal product, which in fact the NFL, a major sporting league, is putting a lot of money behind researching the benefits for their athletes. Because why? Because imagine athletes like this didn't have access to maybe an alternative to some of the opiates that are out there. Cannabis is an amazing alternative to some of the opiates that are out there for pain relief. And many athletes do suffer pain. And again, you don't have to smoke cannabis. And I suppose that's very relevant in this photo. You don't have to smoke it. Again, you don't. She could have it rubbed onto her skin afterwards. You go out for a nice long run, you come back, the muscles are aching, the body is a bit sore, you get a salve, you rub it into the body. Again, why aren't we researching this to understand how it works better? It's ridiculous. Again, condolences, I hope that you're able to compete in that relay race, and I hope you get an apology in time. When we look back in this, there's going to be a time in the not too distant future when we're going to have a wide availability to cannabis right across the world, and we're going to have to acknowledge the wrongdoings that were done because of the prohibitions in the past, the discrimination because of this prohibition. We're going to have to look back at this, and I hope Sha is included in the list of people who deserve an apology for it, because she certainly deserves an apology. She's worked a tremendously hard amount to get where she is and have that taken away, to reach the Olympics, man. That's the elite. What that must mean to a person. And because, to deal with a grievance, smoked a bit of cannabis to help, maybe get a good night's sleep, taken away, stripped of it, robbed. Sick individuals out there who support this prohibition. And Bogwan's son, nice one as well for the support of the show, getting in the old super chat saying, let's start our own media outlet. Guys, if there's somebody out there who understands that and wants to get involved in that, I would be all for it. If people want to have just a continuing running media show, where there's other people contributing then as well, giving other people's inputs to it, whether it be documentary makers, whether it be other people who want to start off their own podcast like this, but just a 24/7, just always just putting out there this kind of messaging and this kind of view on things. But yeah, so let's start our own media outlet. Let's definitely try to take the rug under the feet of the prohibitionists, because they've certainly got the media in their back pocket anyway. As you've seen there in the RTE, you've 100 people who support the changing of policies in order to better protect our young people and communities, and you didn't even have on one of them. Shame on you, RTE. What a waste of taxpayers' money. Guys, if there's any fucking other people out there who support that, and if you're a youth worker out there in the community, and if you want to come on, and if you even want to do it anonymously, I'll facilitate an interview anonymously. I'll give you a platform to air your views. By all means, get in touch and I'll do it. I know Gerard Rowe has been on in the past, and check out that interview if you haven't seen it already. Gerard Rowe is a youth worker above in Dublin, and he has an incredible insight into what we could be doing better to help the young people out there in our society, because this approach by prohibition and Operation Tara, it's only going to drive a greater wedge and hurt more people who quite often or not are just victims of terrible public policy from our government, Right, we drive on in the news. Cannabis plants planted near Cork Garda station in a protest as at continued ban. So whoever could have done this, I have no idea who this could be. It was myself. So this was an article that was covered in the Irish Examiner. Sorry, I have to get another drink there, the old cotton mouth. But this was an article done on the Irish Times by a lovely journalist who took the time out to give me a call. Oops. We go back there, we clicked on that. But who gave me who took the time to give me a call and had a nice article, It was Liz Dunphy wrote this, so thanks again, Liz, for taking the time to write this article. It's certainly been shared far and wide there across all the different social media platforms. And it's also gotten the attention of other media outlets then as well, where the Sunday World actually shared it. Cannabis campaigner plants 6 plants near Garda station in active civil disobedience. Yes, go on, getting the message out there far and wide. And they also made a little edit of the video I put up there, and they shared that too along with it. And again, a nice little write-up then as well. And they're getting this story of the patients who I'm delighted to be able to bring attention to the stories here of the patients, such as Alicia Maher, you know, again, hashtag bring Alicia home, and also Vera Toomey, hashtag talk to Vera, because these two people have been incredibly displaced because of this stupid prohibition around this plant. And I think displaced is a good word for both of these people, because Vera Toomey is being displaced from her position as mother. She should be giving her undivided attention to her daughter Eva, who's been plagued with seizures from a very young age. And cannabis provides tremendous benefit. Unfortunately, Vera has to be a campaigner to get access to this, and to get better access, to be getting less discriminatory access to this plant. And that's taking away, that's robbing Eva of that time that Vera could be giving to her, you know. And I think it's a horrible thing to be doing. It really is. Like, you're displacing a mother from her child because of your prohibition, because they just need to go out and campaign around better access, to not have to fork out €10,000 every 3 months as Vera does. Which does get reimbursed afterwards, but still, every 3 months she has to fork out €10,000. How many patients out there don't have this? Like, Alicia is one of those patients who says her cost would have been somewhere over €2,000, €2,500 every 3 months. I think Alicia said her medicine would have cost her. But unfortunately, she wasn't even afforded access until having left Ireland. Alicia had to leave Ireland because the pain was just too much to stay here. The access to cannabis here was just too poor, where she gets now much better access in Alicante. Literally, I was only looking her up there earlier, like €10 return flights I was able to book to head out to Alicante. And I think I'm going to head over there very soon to get a catch-up interview with Alicia. I'm going to do it in person, and I'm going to do a little tour there of some of the places where Alicia secures her medicine also, and I think that'll be a very worthwhile trip. So I'm going to book that up soon, and we'll bring that to you as well very soon. And if anybody wants to make it along, I might need a cameraman, but I think I might have one lined up. But we need a crew. I think we might have to get kind of a whole production crew around this. Do you know what I mean? It's an essential journey then, like, you know, we have to, you know, help generate media are frontline workers. But Alicia is over in Alicante again, you know, all jokes aside, and she would very much like to come home. She's 18 months now displaced from her home country because of this lack of access to cannabis here in Ireland. And again, Frank Feighan taking pleasure in a reduction in cannabis use. It's sick when you kind of compare it to a patient not being able to get access to it then as well. Sick, man. The whole lot of the prohibitionists out there, they're a bunch of insane lunatics. So again, guys, share the videos, share the articles around using the hashtags Bring Alicia Home and Talk to Vera, and also hashtag Cannabis Reform Ireland. Let's get these hashtags trending and engage in your own civil disobedience protests out there, guys. You know, think it up, get creative. Like, you know, I mightn't have thought of an approach, and if you'd like to go out there and do it, like, you know, I don't have to be the only person to do this, is kind of what I'm saying. And I know there's other people out there engaging with the Feed the Birds campaign as well. So well done to each and every one of you as well. And to all the people who are going to come out and support the major protest as well, you know, well done. That this is how we are going to get change done. So guys, those are the two articles that were done after the civil disobedience protest that I held about 2 weeks ago now. And actually, funny enough, I got a photo sent to me then the morning of the publishing of this article yesterday. and the plants have actually been removed. The guards went over and removed them because the journalist Liz actually had to ring the guards and ask them for comments. But not to worry, guys. We'll certainly have efforts on the way to see these plants that were put there in an act of protest replaced. And I know there's other people out there as well doing the very same, not just in Cork, but right across Ireland. So well done to each and every one of you guys. Keep the photos coming to me, martinsworldpodcast@gmail.com if you want to email them. If you want to drop me a DM, if you want to send them by a more encrypted chat messaging group, by all means do. And even over on Percy's Grow Room, there's a thread after being started up over there around Feed the Birds, if you want to share your photos there too. Again, no act of civil disobedience is too small, guys, so do get involved, please. Then in other news, guys, and this is that Ireland has joined the bottom 2 in the Europe for its standards around combating human trafficking. So Ireland is now in the bottom 2 of the ranking for our standards in human trafficking, and this is alongside Romania. This is absolutely a ridiculous position to be for Ireland. And you have to, again, look at Operation Tara and some of the money that's been spent by the HSE and their campaigns and all of this waste. And meanwhile, human trafficking is going under the radar. What in the name of God? Who wants to be trafficked as humans? Like, do you know what I mean? Who wants to be involved in that trade? I don't think it's done voluntarily. Like, no one wants to be exploited, you know? Nobody. How many people want to go and get some MDMA when they're going to the festivals? Do you know? I see a lot of hands up there in the audience as well, guys. Do you know? We are willing and consenting in our engagement in our crime, you know, where the state are spending millions, hundreds of millions of euros every bloody year in tackling, and meanwhile there's human trafficking going on out there, and we're on the bottom 2 in all of Europe for our standards and combating it. That's appalling. That is absolutely appalling. You know, obviously someone has to be in the bottom 2, like, but this says a lot, like, in our approach to this. I believe it was in our lowest, sorry, no, I'm just looking up the stats here from this, just skipping through a lot of text from it. But this was an annual trafficking in person report that it's regarded as the most comprehensive appraisal of global efforts to combat human trafficking, and it ranks Ireland as one of the 2 weakest European states alongside Romania, and it ranks Ireland as a tier 2 watch list state, the 3rd lowest of 4 rankings. As such, states do not meet minimum standards, and their estimated number of victims of severe forms of trafficking, severe forms of trafficking, and they're quite specific in that, like, stating that is very significant or is significantly increasing, and the country is not taking proportional concrete actions. And again, what was reported in the media there not too long ago is as a big thing. Cannabis, they were cannabis, and then Feighan coming out here and talking about a health-led approach. Where's the health-led approach for the people who were enslaved in the production of cannabis across Ireland and the UK, Frank? Do you know what I mean? Sorry, bud, but like it's just absent, isn't it? Like, and there's no real avenue of protection there for them, unfortunately, because if they go to use the cops, like, quite often or not, you're just like, no, you were growing cannabis, man, or we're going to do you for that instead, like, you know. And when you catch them for it then as well, that's how you treat them too. That's horrible, like. Some of the recommendations that the guys have made, the assessment made in relation to among its 17 detailed recommendations are that the Gardaí and the courts vigorously investigate and prosecute suspects and convict traffickers, improve victim identification, and I think that's a primary one here for Ireland, and referral systems, and properly enforce amended rules for the working scheme for non-EEA fisheries, sea fisheries. So I don't know what the story is there, but the sea fisheries, I'd say maybe there's a lot of stuff going on there in the background, exploiting people from overseas. But some of the more common nations found where people are trafficked from are Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, and South America also. You look at it, like we just put 321 guards on full-time duty for drugs. How many did we apply for? How many did we apply for human trafficking? Joe? 0? A big fat 0, I would say. I would say it's close, as close to 0 anyway. It's much closer to 0 than it is to 321 anyway, I'd say. That's for sure. Well, there has been some positive efforts, including an appointment of the commissioner, a commission as rapporteur, and in recent weeks, the first trafficking conviction since 2013. The first trafficking conviction since 2013. The reality today is that Ireland continues to fall below minimum standards compared to other developed nations. And that's a statement from the Department of Justice, who said that they were disappointed that Ireland remained on the Tier 2 watch list despite significant advancements over the past 12 months in a measure to combat human trafficking and support victims. That's because Ireland has actually been twice now in a row at this ranking. It's not the first year that we've been at this ranking. It's our second year in a row being at such a low ranking for our approach to human trafficking. And again, you look at Operation Terra, 321 guards on full-time duty in order to that. Like, where was ever the announcement of like fucking 300 guards being appointed to go out there and try to find victims of human trafficking? This is just not there, like, is it? Like, sorry, like. And again, as I say, like, how many people want to be trafficked? How many people want to be exploited? 0, I would imagine. How many people want to buy a bag of cannabis? All of you? What? All of you? Jeez. Sick, man. It's a sick society we have. And we as taxpayers, guys, we're paying for this. And we have to stand up and speak up and call for a change. Like, because without it, we're not going to see it. And again, shout out to Rudy. Rudy got in it and now supported the show there a few minutes ago. And I just want to pop it back up. It says Friday 5, or nice one for that, Rudy. What's the crack with this Citizens Assembly? Rudy is asking. I actually had a phone call earlier with the Citizens Assembly. I was inquiring about the process for an NGO to be able to apply and make a presentation to the Citizens Assembly, and they didn't have any information to provide on an upcoming Citizens Assembly, as that's down to the government, I suppose, to put together and to call a date on. So they weren't able to give information there, but as soon as I have an update on the Citizens Assembly and a date has been announced, I'll certainly be making an announcement on the 420 News and on across all of the social media platforms as well. Because I do think that's an important thing to be able to bring attention to, and hopefully to be able to get many of the organisations out there that support the legalisation and the decriminalisation of drug users to be able to make a presentation too as well. So yeah, nice one again, Rudy, for supporting the show. Also, Mustawes says, end the corruption. And that was about a half an hour ago. Sorry about that, Mustawes. Just catching up on that one there as well. So I'll pop it back up on screen. Go on, you legend, Mustawes. Nice one. So we drive on in the news, guys, because we're an hour and 15 into the show, and we've quite a few headlines to get through there as well. So again, and a nice large audience out there again today, guys. So thanks very much, everybody, for staying with me and for giving me your undivided attention. So 60 cannabis plants were recently seized in Kilrush, County Clare. So again, major missed opportunity here for us as the taxpayers, provide much needed jobs in small towns and villages across Ireland where people could be growing and providing cannabis for their to the consumers in the community, and even providing a social venue for them to go and do it at. No, instead we're going to send in the old Gestapo, the old Gardaí, and we're going to kick in doors and we're going to take away people's plants. 60 plants sounds like a lot, like, but you know what was this guy was doing? Maybe he was experimenting. Maybe it was like your man above in fucking Kyo's Crisps or old Uncle Tony. Maybe it was an old experiment. Maybe he's a plant breeder. I was talking to somebody in my messages earlier who was caught with a lot of plants and was also engaged in trying to do a bit of a breeding thing as well for themselves, and was trying to grow in their polytunnel their year's worth of cannabis. And now, instead of growing their year's worth of cannabis, they're being brought before the courts for, again, being over €40,000 worth of cannabis, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I hope to have a conversation maybe with that person. Maybe they'll do it in person, maybe they'll do it anonymously. Let's see. I haven't actually asked them yet because I was only just talking to them before the show. But it's ridiculous. Like, so this is above in Kilrush, €48,000 worth of cannabis. A slap of 23% tax on that, guys. Do you know what I mean? And look at what you could do for the local J Club. Again, the people buying this cannabis, they would have wanted it. They would have been consenting adults if we done it right, if we regulated it right. Your man Drew Harris talking about like fucking untold harms that would be done in terms of public health if we were to legalise drugs. But no, like, that's just pure fear-mongering, Drew Harris. Like, well, why aren't you actually giving a truly honest answer in that, like, if we were to legalise and regulate drugs, that there would be a reduction in the harms that we see from our drug use in our society? Because a lot of the drug harms that come from drug use in our society come from the lack of education around drug use, and also from the contamination of a drug supply, such as the 4 deaths in Derry there that I reported on earlier in the week because of fucking dodgy pills. Messed up, like. Again, like, look at the many deaths that happened in the music festivals across Ireland. And these would have been avoidable if these people had a safe and regulated avenue to get access to their drug of choice. Again, if a person wants to go to Electric Picnic and take some MDMA, then the government's job should be to provide a safe and regulated avenue for that person to do so, but also have beforehand provided an opportunity for that person to be educated. And we could do that through the schools. Again, they're there, we have their attention. And if we do it in an honest and an unbiased way too, like, because quite often or not, like, it's very biased, the education that's given to kids. It's always the old fucking Mr. Mackey, like, okay, drugs are bad. Don't do drugs, kids. And that doesn't work, like, you just say no, it doesn't work. Like, instead we need an honest education around drug use. Like, look, this is LSD. This is how people use it. This is why people use it. Obviously, it's safer. Look, like any drug, it's obviously safer not to consume sugar. It's probably safer not to consume alcohol. It's probably safer not to smoke tobacco. But look, if you're going to do it, this is the education, and this is how you reduce harm. Like, if you're going to smoke tobacco, well, try to smoke it with a filter, because look, the filter might actually filter out some of the old nasty stuff. If you're going to smoke weed, maybe switch over to a vape. Anyway, so again, we drive on from that one, so I don't have any pictures to share of that, unfortunately. But again, just a shout out, if you're the person out there and who got caught in this, get in touch, share your story, you can fill me in the background. What was the story with it? Like, were you growing it to make some oil for yourself? Were you like the other person who was just trying to provide a year's worth of their own cannabis out of your backyard? Were you growing in a polytunnel? I'm not too sure. Like, it doesn't really say much here. It doesn't say if the Gardaí found a lot of a sophisticated a sophisticated setup. That's not stated in the press release from the Gardaí at all. So I'm imagining this was in a polytunnel. That's my guess. That was probably in a polytunnel above there in Kilrush, again a small town in West County Clare, I think it is. And you're probably living with a bit of land, you had a polytunnel, probably growing it organically, and just trying to do it for the year. You don't want to be out there filling the pockets of the criminals. That's what Drew Harris says. He doesn't want you doing that either, does he? He doesn't want you supporting the drug cartels. So he should support you. Drew Harris, should you not support this person if this is what they were doing? Drew, come on, Drew. Unless you're disingenuous in your message there, Drew. You don't really care about people filling the pockets of it. Like, you're just trying to make them, you're just trying to shame drug users, aren't you? You don't really care. It's just, that's really what you're doing, isn't it? Yeah, I thought so. Sorry guys, we'll get through this. We'll get there. So the CAB have raided what they describe as a lieutenant in a gang. Again, a lieutenant in a gang. They describe him as that, like, and they describe him as that in the media, like. But why isn't it not just like CAB raid on a gang member's house, do you know, whatever it is, like, do you know what I mean? Why are they painting him as a lieutenant, like? Because all they're doing is stroking the ego of this individual, most likely. Do you know that this individual is going to be brought up before the courts now and whatever and be locked up, and he's above there in prison now, like, and this is his status now, like, oh, he's the lieutenant, like, he's our LT, like, do you know, hey, what's going on, LT, do you know, like, this is a fucking status symbol for this individual, like, and then for the naive young people out there, like, they aspire to be like him now, like. So there's people out there thinking now, like, fucking there's a lieutenant after being taken out of the ranks, like, there's an opportunity now for promotion here within this, like, I'm going to make a name for myself, like, so, like, maybe we could expect to see, like, a vacuum now, a power struggle above there in Dublin, where we might have some competing gang members, you know, within their own gang, you know, for this kind of role of lieutenant, like, you know, if it even is a role, you know, for fair, like, to be honest, I just think it's a nonsense that we would call them lieutenants, like, a lieutenant, like, come on, like, that's in the army, like. This dude is not in the army, like, he's in a criminal gang, like, in fairness, like, he's a scumbag, like, sorry, like, you know, I don't know him, like, but if he's a part of a fucking cartel and he's out there recruiting young kids and doing all of this nasty stuff, and he's not fighting for the legalization of the drug he's supplying to the community he's supplying them from, then sorry, man, you're a scumbag in my eyes, and you're just selling drugs and whatever, like, because, like, this dude is known to him as well, like, and that's the thing, like, he just has, he has over 60 convictions in his past, like, so this is, a Sligo-based criminal who is aged in his mid-30s and has nearly 60 convictions is considered as a trusted member of the mob led by Patrick Irwin. I don't know who the hell Patrick Irwin is, but look, I don't know much about the kind of, the criminal scene in Ireland, and I don't want to know much about it either, to be honest, like, and I hope they don't know about my show either, because, like, I'm fucking trying to take away, like, a very lucrative business that they have here in providing illegal drugs in Ireland. Like, I'm telling the government the solution here to disempower these guys. You legalise and you regulate the supply of the drugs, like, even if it has to be done by the government, like, if the government have through the chemists provide government-sponsored cocaine, government-sponsored heroin, and, you know, fuck off from the weed, bud. Go out your government-sponsored weed. You'll mess that one up. No, I'll leave that to the community. And we'll make sure the criminals don't get involved in it, like, in the gangs, like, that they don't have nothing to do with it either, like, you know. But with the other kind of the more chemical nature drugs, like, certainly, like, you know, get them government-sponsored, and bang, boom, the gangs are crippled. Literally, like, do you know what I mean? Gangs are making hundreds of millions off of cocaine every year, and if you literally just said, look, lads, we're going to legalise and regulate cocaine, and if you want to get cocaine, go on down to your local pharmacy, go on down to Boots there, and there's going to be government-sponsored cocaine that's going to come. It's going to be fair trade. There's just going to be no bloodshed associated with the production of that cocaine along the lines. The people who grew it and produced it are going to get a fair price for it. That's going to see them be able to do well and look after their families and expand upon their farms and all of that good stuff. Like, you know, that would be a much more beneficial thing to do. And the Kinahans, is it the Urbans? Is it the Urbans now? Do you know what I mean? All of these guys are going to be like, shit, lads. Well, it was good while it lasted anyway. Do you know? And they fuck off to do something else, like, you know. And the drug consumers then are protected because you can provide a safe and regulated drug, and they're not going to get indebted, you know, and all of this kind of stuff. Like, you know, there's not going to be the violence that's associated with it that some of these individuals that in these gangs kind of do. Crazy, like. So a Volkswagen Golf, an off-road vehicle, a small quantity of cocaine, and 25 grand in cash was seized when the CAB raided his home. 151,000 euro was restrained in financial accounts, and also the target of the raid has been in the local Gardaí site for years and has multiple convictions, including for driving offences. He has been involved in a number of local feuds and has served several short jail terms, including on charges of threatening to kill, and was attacked while serving one of these. Sources say he is a long-time associate of Irwin and one of his most trusted gang members. Irwin, who had links to murdered crime lord Eamon Dunn, and other Dublin-based gangsters, was released from jail in August 2018 after serving a consecutive 10-year jail sentence for drug dealing and savagely assaulting a Garda. And like, prohibition doesn't work, like it doesn't, like, because you've had this individual in jail a couple of times for threatening to kill people and stuff, like, and meanwhile he's still back out and he's still running around and he's part of the gang, like, sorry Frank, like, Drew, guys, cop on, like, do a proper job, protect the public, end this prohibition right now, like, seriously, decriminalise the drug user, and get up off your arse and have a fucking all-night affair there where you're going to hash it out, and how you're going to get access to and provide the drugs to the community of people out there who, as ye say yourselves, are filling the pockets of these cartels. If you want to take away these cartels from our communities, if you don't want to see any more bloodshed in our streets because of the sale and the trade of these drugs, then sort it out for yourselves, like, provide it for people, like, come on, like, it's ridiculous, like. Because this is the next headline: ruthless drug gangs threatening to kill mothers of teenagers over unpaid drug debts as loud community living in fear. Like, this is your war on drugs. This is your prohibition in effect. Like, this is how effective your policies are, Frank and Drew and company prohibitionists out there. Like, you now have drug dealers going out there. They're so fucking brazen that they're threatening to kill people, and people now are living in fear in the community. So the Gardaí talking about reinstilling faith in the Gardaí, you know what I mean? Like, but no, like, all the Gardaí are doing is empowering organised crime gangs, as I say, through the prohibition. And they're empowering the organised crime gangs to recruit kids into the trade. And not only into the trade, but into the use. And then when the kids, like, and they're allowing them to rack up debts, like, and then they're threatening to kill mothers. Lads, we need a change, like, we need a serious change, like. So the 10th of July is going to be for Cannabis Reform Ireland, but I definitely think there needs to be some serious protests in order to kind of just do away with the Misuse of Drugs Act altogether, because it's not fit for purpose. It's created a toxic environment for us to live and for our kids to be brought up in, like, where mothers are being threatened because of their teenager sons, their daughters' drugs debt. Most likely sons, but could be daughters too. Horrible. Like, Frank, come on, like, are we really going to keep our heads in the sand for much longer? Like, are you going to keep doubling down, like, keep wasting taxpayers' money? Do you know, really, like, come on, like, you can't. You have to see sense in this. Like, come on, look at Portugal, look at other places like America, look at Canada, look at Uruguay, like, look where they've had better approaches to drug use in their society, and just end the prohibition of drugs once and for all. Provide safe and regulated avenues for people to get access to their drug of choice. Don't judge people. People who use drugs use them for various reasons. We shouldn't be judgmental. All we should be looking at is, can we help that person? Can we reduce the harm to that person? And prohibition does not achieve that goal. It does not. Again, I was present yesterday for the whole day at the European Symposium on drug consumption rooms, and it was amazing to see some of the work going on across Europe in drug consumption rooms, in places where people can bring their drug of choice and inject or smoke or whatever it was. A lot of it was injecting drug users, as again, as I said, they're probably the most vulnerable of the communities out there, because they're most at risk of harm, especially if they're shooting up with dirty needles or down in dirty, dark alleys, or even in some of these bloody bathrooms that we've put the blue lights in now. Like, how inhumane are we? Like, sorry, like, but it's just sick. Like, I know some people mightn't agree with that message out there. Like, I know a lot of you will agree with the message of legalising and regulating cannabis, but again, like, guys, sorry, for the same reasons that you want your drug of choice to be legalised and regulated, for compassion, you know, for want of not to be discriminated against, we need to be able to see that for other drug users out there, or we are no better than the prohibitionists that we're fighting against at the moment. And that's just my view. Like, sorry, and I hope nobody gets offended by that, you know, but that's the reality of it. And we drive on. We go from there then, guys, to a man claims he has stumbled upon €58,000 worth of cannabis while he was scouting out a location to go a lamping. This is a man about a man about a dog without a dog. So this individual was out scouting a spot to go lamping, but he had no dog with him. Fucking pleb, like he come up with a better excuse, like what a sausage. Like, sorry for calling you a sausage, sorry for calling you a pleb, like, but it's just funny enough, like, you know, that you would say like that you were out looking for a location to go lamping, but you'd no dogs with you. Like, is that really a thing people do? Like, surely if you go looking for a spot to go lamping, it's just better that you have your dog with you anyway, in case you spot a few rabbits, like, you know. Or I don't know, like, you know, maybe, like, look, if there's legitimacy in your story, Carl Humphreys, get in touch with me, and I'll thoroughly apologise, like, if you were really out and you really did just genuinely find this cannabis, like, you know. Because I've never been lucky enough. Like, I've been out hunting loads of times. Like, I've gone lamping fucking for years, man, and I've never found a bag of cannabis. I've never even found as much as a 50 bag out in while out lamping. Like, never mind saying finding like almost 3 kilos of cannabis. Like, but anyway, like how the individual got caught is because the cops were staging a sting operation. They knew the cannabis was there, and they were watching it, waiting for it to be picked up. How did I know it was there? Again, like, I've more questions about that. Like, you know, where was the tip off given that there was going to be cannabis here? Like, was your man a patsy? Like, was Carl Humphreys like just a victim of this? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so is there a larger conspiracy there, I suppose, if you will? Like, is there an organised crime gang out there operating at such a level where this guy is basically a sacrificial lamb? Do you know, go on out there, Carl, go on out and pick up the cannabis there or whatever, and he ends up getting caught. But meanwhile, like, you know, the organised crime gang are given clearance to bring in, I don't know, they say almost 60,000 here, so giving clearance to bring in 600,000, 6 million even worth of cannabis, you know, and you know, this is the old giving the cops a few breadcrumbs. Like, I don't know, like, it's potential, like there is a potential there, because look, if you're Detective Garda Michael O'Halloran and you're getting underpaid, do you know, if you're on maybe what are you on, Garda Detective Michael O'Halloran, you're on 50,000, you're on 60,000, do you know? And an organised crime gang comes along and says, come here, Michael, there's going to be a bag of cannabis down there, and or whatever, like, here's fucking 50 grand there, Michael, you know, a month. Here's 50 grand a month there, look, Michael, or even 10 grand a month, whatever. Like, it doesn't even have to be so outlandish. But look, and every now and again, Michael, we're going to keep throwing you these old sacrificial lambs, and you know, you'll get your stats in, and we get to sell our cannabis, like, and everybody's happy, aren't we, Michael? Do you know, like, I'm a conspiracy theorist here now, like, but it's potential, like, because like Garda Michael O'Halloran, like, he's not what's the word I'm looking for, infallible. You know, he's not a perfect human being. He's just another, you know, a flawed human being like the rest of us. None of us are perfect, like. So if somebody was to come along and say, like, come here, look, I'll give you a fucking half of your salary every month, in order to kind of, look, just turn a blind eye there to this stuff, and also every month then, look, I'll let you find you know, a container of cannabis, like, in a grow house here and there, like, I'll spill the beans there a little bit for you, like, we'll throw you some sacrificial lambs, like, people who are pissing me off, like, you know, people who owe me money and I can't get it off them, well, I'll throw you them, like, do you know, it's messed up, like. But Garda Michael O'Halloran said that when he went on duty that day, he got into a concealed position to observe the area of the ditch on a quiet lane in Watergrass Hill, County Cork, where the drugs squad officer had previously located €60,000 worth of cannabis. How did he locate it? Like, do you know what I mean? Come on now, like, previously located. Nice one, boy. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, we get you, man. Fucking scumbag. They returned the black bag of drugs to the concealed position under a tyre and kept it under surveillance. Detective Garda O'Halloran said a green Renault Clio arrived and the passenger Carl Humphreys got out. He said the defendant started what appeared to be a search of the area. He got over the gate, he searched these tyres. I grabbed him, I had him by the arm. He had a black bag in his possession. He dropped it at his feet. I called for assistance on the radio and he froze. He was in shock, shaking, the detective testified. Again, like, I just going to throw it out there again, like, you know, another potential scenario that could have unfolded there. Imagine if Carl Humphreys arrived and he had a gun on him and he was startled If this is at night time and he's out, like, looking for lamping for rabbits, if it was at night time, your man didn't know it was a cop or whatever, and somebody grabbed him and he had the fucking gun just at a quick location, and he was quick on the draw, like, and boom boom, like, Michael fucking whatever is dead, like, sad, like, Michael O'Halloran, like, that wouldn't be a nice outcome for that, and that was a potential outcome, because he doesn't know what kind of a situation he's going to encounter when carrying out these sort of raids under the prohibition of drugs. If we take away the prohibition of drugs, again, this guard doesn't need to be doing this, because cannabis is going to be sold by reputable retailers and business people within our communities, and there won't be criminals involved in it. There won't be the fear of the violence and all of the stuff that goes on because of the prohibition, not because of the drugs. It's because of the prohibition, like. Interviewed later by Gardaí, one of the detectives put it to him in the memo put before the jury at the Cork Circuit Criminal Court. He says, you were going rabbit lamping, and just by coincidence there was a big bag with 10 kilos of cannabis in the ditch where you are trying to get in. It wasn't 10 kilos at all, it was fucking only 3, you liar. Or there's 7 gone missing. The cops are after spilling the beans there. The boys are after splitting up 7 kilos there between themselves, and they let us slip in the interview and they don't even realise. Michael's going to be like, fucking, shit lads, you weren't supposed to say 10 kilos, you sausages, shit. We only put 3 into evidence. Humphreys told the Gardaí that this was the case, and he denied being involved in the drugs trade at any level. He says, all I care about is soccer, keeping fit and hunting. He said when he was first interviewed in the case, which date back to 2012. 2012, what in the name of God is going on there, like? So these cops are getting them paid for this, like. There's investigations going on all over the years. Like, there's somebody up there in the evidence. They still have to keep on to the evidence for this case. So that's going fucking far back, man. That's going way back. He says, my business there was picking out the fields for hunting, and he was asked then, were you ever there before? And he said, no, but I would like to go back again for a bit of hunting. Go on, you legend, Humphreys. Don't change your story, man. I know I was being hard on you at the start of it, but now I'm kind of fucking warming to the story, in fairness. Like, Garda O'Halloran said that when he was holding onto the defendant's arm that day, he got such a fright I could feel his heartbeat through his arm. Again, like, that's a traumatic situation that individual was put into over getting cannabis. Again, cannabis is not going to put it's not going to cause the harms that a traumatic event is going to cause upon a person. Again, this person, like, while he says he could go back to this field, like, he could go back to that field and that traumatic event could be brought up, and he could have an entire, just have a mental breakdown in the field, like, and be completely suicidal or something as a result of it. Who knows? The traumatic events are serious. Like, what the guard is describing here, saying he can feel the man's heartbeat going through his body. We are nothing but a big bag of chemicals as humans, like, and what's going on there unfolding in that man's body is a release of chemicals on a level that would be, it's serious. Like, the man's life is flashing before his eyes, I would imagine. You know what I mean? It was that serious, the experience for him, and all because of prohibition. Like, talk about the harms of drugs, but what about the harms of prohibition? Like, and overseeing the old case then was Judge Sean Donovan. Judge Sean Donovan asked him, where was Fido? And Humphreys asked him, says, what's that? He says, the dog. So Humphreys said, I was scouting. I was not going lamping. I was scouting to go lamping. So again, look, it's valid. Look, it very well could be a very honest story. Could be. Very well could be. He was out scouting spots, like, seeing if it's lamping, good for lamping. I know I used to do that, not on purpose though. I used to be working, going in the countryside, doing windscreens and stuff like that. We used to spend a lot of time down in West Cork, and we'd be higher up in the van, and I used to spend a lot of time looking out the window, scouting the fields to see if, like, there's a lot of rabbits there, like, they might be worth coming back for lamping. But it's important to see it as well during the daytime, because you don't want to go into a field that you haven't gone into during the daytime, because especially down in West Cork, you have a lot of standing rocks in the middle of fields, And if your dog, you know, is running across the field in the dead of night chasing a rabbit, like, and he hits that fucking rock, that dog is dead, like. And that happened actually in the past, and that's why it's something I could say, because it happened to a friend of mine's dogs. Rest in peace, Skippy. And that's the dog of Billy Murphy, who actually gave my dog Spike as well. Like, I won't even go down memory lane on that now, I'll get all emotional because Spike's gone now. But yeah, the judge clarified that the accused was saying he would go out to the country, scout for a field, go back home and pick up the dogs and then return to go lamping. John, very well could happen. The incident dates to 2012. The case related to the 2012 was in Watergrass Hill, County Cork. And the prosecution barrister was invited by the judge to explain to the jury after they delivered their 10-2 majority guilty verdict the delay in the case. So Mr. McCarthy said the accused went to Australia to work and came back of his own accord. So there you go. That's why it's so fucking far back. Like, so in fairness, like, the man came back. Why did you come back? Like, what's the crack? What brought you back? Like, oh, did you not stay in Australia, man? Stop. Or even head to, I don't know, New Zealand or Thailand or somewhere, like, or maybe there was some extenuating circumstances you had to come back. Like, again, if you're out there, like, it's very likely, like, somebody watching the show could know, yeah, you're not too far from where you got caught. It's not too far from us anyway, above Watergrass Hill. Get in touch if you want to share your story, your experience. Like, what's the crack? Like, did you forget about it? Did you forget that you were after getting caught? Did you think it was going away? Did you think that the statutes of limitations would apply in your case as it does with other crimes, where, you know, if you leave the country for 7 years and come back afterwards, they can't do you for certain crimes? And I don't know, does that apply for murder? Like, is there a statute of limitations for murder? But that's certainly a thing for other crimes out there, but it's not for drugs, unfortunately. Judge Sean O'Donovan then threatening the man with 10 years, and he said it to his the defence barrister, saying, you know, your fella is facing 10 years. He says, you can be blinding the jury with Fido, but I don't know where the defendant was going. It is really throwing pepper in my eyes. Someone would want to pull themselves together. That's the comments from Judge Sean O'Donovan there in that case. So 10 years for picking up a bit of weed. Come on, like, it's in the next 10 years, weed's going to be fucking legal in this country. Judge Sean O'Donovan, you fucking sod. I'm gonna pop. Do I still have him up there? I think I have him out there. I'm on my Yorkies. Where are you big sod? I'll find you. I'll get you. No, I can't find him. Can I? No. I thought I still had him in one of my Oh, there he is. Yeah, there he is. Oh, fucking sod. Sean O'Donovan. Like, if you were to give this man 10 years in prison, sod, like, what are you going to do in the next 2 years, in the next year, when cannabis use is decriminalised and a process for legalising and regulating is unfolding right before your very eyes, much to your dislike as well, I might add. But what are you going to do for the many people you've sent away to prison over the last year or two for many years? Like, come on, like, these people need to be will need to be released. They'll need to be apologised for, and I wonder, would they be entitled to some compensation? Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine giving 10 years to a fella getting caught with, like, what was it, 50 grand's worth of cannabis, like 58 grand's worth of cannabis, 3 kilos of cannabis. Like, stop, like, yeah, come on, you can't, you sod, like, you really can't, like. So that's it, guys. That's the 420 news for today. Nice on everybody for tuning in. I wish I could have finished off on a better note, actually. Unfortunately, I fucking just couldn't find that nice note to finish on. So I thought that was an important one just to go into there. 10 years for cannabis possession. Come on, stop. For cannabis stealing, nobody should be getting 10 years. Like, and for any judge to even suggest that he would consider it, man, you're an insane, sick individual, and we need to protest it. If this man was to get 10 years, guys, I hope people would be able to get behind him and support him, because that's a sick sentence for a judge to be handing down, like, especially when he's handing down like 4 and 5 year sentences there to sick perverts who go out and rape people, who go out and sexually assault people, as we seen there, the scout leader. But there wasn't too long afterwards, and he oversaw another case of a West Cork publican. I don't know, was it Blown Skull or was it on one of the islands down below in West Cork? But some sick fucking pervert anyway was dropping a lady home, and decided to take advantage of her in her drunken situation, like, and put his hand in her breast, put a hand up her skirt and stuff like that. And this man, actually, I don't even think he got a jail sentence, did he? I don't even think he got a jail sentence, actually. I could be wrong on that, like, but I think he might have got a 2-year suspended jail sentence. Sick, like, the dude sexually assaulted the lady, like, and he should be fucking taught a lesson for that. Like, and 10 years would seem adequate. A guy getting caught with some cannabis, 10 years? Man, that's harsh. That's extreme. Guys, everybody, nice one, everybody, for tuning in, for all of the comments. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the news. It's a long one today, fucking an hour and 45 minutes, guys. I apologise for that one. I didn't realise that I was going to go on for so long, but look, it is what it is. It has to be done, and I'm only happy to be able to deliver it to ye. How long more I might be able to deliver it to ye, who knows? Only Operation Tara knows. Maybe I might be swooped up in the next leg of Operation Tara as I walk the streets as a dodgy looking suspicious person known to the Gardaí for being involved in low level drug use and possibly drug dealing then there as a result of. Do you know, maybe I'm a valid target. Maybe I'm a person of interest already, and maybe there's Gardaí out there actually being paid to sit down and watch this to see what this guy is up to next. You know, what can we learn about him? Sick, like. John Finnegan says, I was out scouting an area to do some illegal hunting when I found illegal substances. Green Tea says, oh my God, I wish I was that man. I could take a year off. Certainly you could, couldn't you? I don't think any of us would ever really get that lucky, would we? She says, who am I kidding? 6 months off, actually. Good stuff, Green Tea. Yeah, it's a good challenge, alright. 3 kilos. Would you get 3 kilos in 6 months? Like, fair play, like, if you would. Like, I suppose you could do a lot of cooking. You could just do a lot of fucking extreme macro doses, wouldn't you? Yeah, Pod's saying, fuck the law, Martin. We got your back. Nice on Pods for that, legends. And thanks for the bonus content, Martin. LOL. Love the longer shows. And that's coming in from Miss Stowaways. I'm glad to hear some of you like these longer shows as well. For me, I'm surprised I actually get so long out of it. I'm sitting here on my own, just going through some fucking news pieces, and all of a sudden I look at the clock, like, and there's over an hour gone, and I'm like, did I really talk for that much? Holy crap! Like, what sort of nonsense must I be spouting? Like, nice one as well to the volunteers behind Martin's World. Clips out there as well, guys, and to people getting involved, sending in content for it. You know. Giving those shorter bite-sized snippets for people who can't just digest such long form content as I put out at times. Other comments, where's the 7 gone? Yeah, there you go, like, where's the 7 gone? That's what I'm asking too. DB Woodcraft says that article should be questioned and investigated. Certainly should be alright. Green Tea says, I must see if I can train my dog to sniff it out. I'm sure you could find a few gorilla grows that way. But you'd be an asshole if you stole it off someone. You certainly would be. I wouldn't go out and condone stealing off of somebody. But if you're out in the countryside and you happen to stumble upon a couple of kilos, like, I think the old rule, finders keepers, applies. But if you find a few plants, I would leave that off. Definitely wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't. I'd leave a little message there and maybe, you know, a little handwritten note and saying, lovely plants, I love them. Tempted to steal them, but I didn't. Here's my number. Send me a message if you want to give me a nug as a reward. That's certainly a much more honest and respectable thing to do if you find some plants out there, guys, in the countryside. And I'm sure people could appreciate it. Like, imagine coming back to your old gorilla girl out there in the countryside, like, and there's an old sticky note hanging off one of your plants or something. Like, you get a little giggle off it, like, and you might be curious to want to follow up with the person then as well, like, and meet up with them for a smoke and say, come here, thanks, like, don't spill the beans, like, but, you know, who knows, like, you know what I mean? You've made friends in stranger ways, like. Green Tea says, lads, have you all liked the video? Yeah, guys, like the video. Guys, just for being with me for so long, I hold no judgment if liking the video is just that bit extra effort. Like, listening to me is probably effort enough. Green Tea says, I'd probably get the dog to sniff them out to give them to a compost tea and a give them some compost tea and defoliation. Nice stuff. There you go. Like, good stuff. Stoned Egypt says, I bet you have to face on the old boxing bag. I'd say no comment there. I'd certainly love to do things, just educate him is probably on my top list. Like, that's what I would love to do. I would love to just be able to get in between the ears of the man and get into that brain of his, and to be able to lodge some common sense in there, and to get a more sensible approach. Mustafa was saying, so messed up for giving sentences, multiple of those for assault for a simple plant, let alone using the wrong values. Yeah, it's ridiculous, like. Good old sod, if you're a paedophile, he will give you a lenient sentence and be told not to do it again, but don't you dare appear before him for getting caught with a joint. Yeah, he's a scumbag. I would agree with you. He is, like, he's a biased old scumbag up there. Just being, you know, he's uneducated, man. He's just an outdated dinosaur, like, and these people need to be challenged, like, but how do we even challenge them and their views, really, like? The only way I can see is just through protests, really, like, and that's what I would encourage people to do too. Irish Hemp Harvest getting an old super chat in there as well. Great show as always. Nice one for that, Irish Hemp Harvest. You're a legend. Guys, I appreciate all of the support of the show and all your comments coming in here as well. I'll do my best to get through them as they're coming in, but I'm going to have to go in the next couple of minutes as well and join the guys at the Patients for Safe Access for our weekly Friday meeting. So apologies if I don't get your comment. Republican Dave says it's disgustingly sociopathic to see judges threaten people, and you've in capitals here, threaten people for fighting charges. They don't have any morals whatsoever because that's what they think the law is. Yeah, and it is absolutely disgusting. And it's a threat. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to instill fear, and they're threatening this person. Like, you know, the judges shouldn't be doing that. It's a horrible thing to do. The judge's job should be just sitting there to weigh up the evidence and to pass a judgment, and he shouldn't be trying to scare an individual at all. To threaten an individual like that, like to threaten them with 10 years, like, who's to say that person just wasn't going to go away and say, fuck, 10 years. I couldn't do that. Hang themselves, you know what I mean? Like, imagine, like, do you know what I mean? And like, I would hate to hear that, and see that happen to an individual, like, and it's a possible scenario a person would run through their heads, when they're faced with a threat such as that. Like, shit, he's going to give me 10 years. Well, look, I'm out and about now. I have freedom to do it. Like, look, I'm just going to get langers and I'm going to just jump into the river or something, like, you know. Man, people could consider that, like, and like, you know, no, nobody wants to be locked up for 10 years. Inside a concrete it's a concrete cell, in with a load of violent criminals who are in there for not fucking rape and pedophilia anyways. Fucking Judge Donovan lets all those fellas go, but you're in there with the murderers and the other kind of sickos. Do you know? No, sorry, like, we don't want that shit, like. Our prisons should be for people who threaten our society, and a drug user does not threaten our society, like. Drug use does not equal fucking criminal behavior, like, it does not. Criminal behavior is not equal to drug use. It is not. Drug use is if anything, it is a health issue, and that alone. And the only role of a government should be education and harm reduction, and that is it. Prohibition is not achieving harm reduction. It's actually more harm creation, and it needs to go. Guys, get up and fight for it. July 10th, 2 p.m, Phoenix Park, Dublin. Your opportunity to do it for cannabis, and we will hopefully afford you opportunities to do it for all drugs too, as myself and some other activists are planning a nationwide tour under the banner of Decriminalise, and as Casas the Drogas, I think he spilled the beans there on the show the other day, where we're going to have decriminalise.ie up and running, populated with some good harm reduction information and good information on the campaign and the tour. But we're going to do a tour across Ireland. I believe we're going to try to get to maybe 11 or more counties, and hold education events where it's going to be open to the public. We're going to talk about the benefits of decriminalising the drug user and legalising and regulating all drugs, not just cannabis, all drugs. And we should be kicking that off there later in August, above in Dublin, and going to a number of counties. We will be looking for volunteers out there, guys. So if you are in any county, if you know of venues that we could hold an event at, if you're somebody who's already out there organising events for other things in your community, if you've experience in this, we will be looking for people in counties to help us organise events with booking a venue. We will finance it all, but we would just like for people to be able to help us to locate and book the venues and to point out the key areas for these things to be advertised then as well within their own communities. So if you can fit that description, if you'd like to get involved, guys, martinsworldpodcast@gmail.com. Just drop an email, just hit the reference as decriminalise, and I'll know then that you're getting in touch in relation to this message specifically, and that you can help out then. So do get in touch, guys. Do help us out with that. That's myself and a number of other activists who want to see the decriminalisation of the drug user and a safe and regulated avenue for drug users to get access to their drug of choice. And we'll be launching a nationwide campaign of education. That's the goal of the campaign. It's to educate and to engage with the public, to hear the views and the concerns of the public as well, and to hopefully try to allay some of those concerns through providing evidence, scientific evidence from other places such as Portugal, such as Switzerland, such as America, Uruguay, Canada, on the benefits of more liberal approaches to our drug policy. So if you want to get involved, martinsworld@gmail.com. martinsworldpodcast@gmail.com, sorry. Other comments, guys. He came back from Oz so he could go lamping, obviously. Yeah, lamping kangaroos is not much fun when the kangaroos will come over and box the head off. Yeah. DB Woodcraft says, any tips for planting feed the birds? What preparations are needed? I might actually do a video very soon, actually, specifically on that, DB Woodcraft. So I will answer that in that video, I suppose. But again, the tissue paper method is a pretty good one for helping to germinate seeds, and then just take your germinated seeds out and spread them around if you don't want to grow them any further at home. But I would advise people to maybe try to take care of the plant a little bit more, get it to a bit more of a hardier stage, and then plant it out and inform the media, then tip them off as to what you done or whatever, like, you know, and try to get photos taken then that way. But the other way is also good, but maybe less successful. Just use more seeds, I suppose. A load of hemp seeds is probably the most cost effective way of doing that then as well. So yeah, there will be a video coming on that very soon, guys. Irish, what's going on over there on Twitch, Irish? I hope you're well. Can try cover Kerry if needs be. Nice one, Irish. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we'll hopefully follow up there again very soon and get you included in the string of emails that's going on within the group of activists there. So you can kind of coordinate your the Kerry leg of it then, and we can maybe link you up with other people in Kerry then as well. But again, everything will be provided. All we're really looking from yourself is your local knowledge, really, of Kerry. And from anybody else, guys, if you want to get involved in this, if you're in another county and you would like to bring this campaign of educating the public on the benefits of decriminalising and regulating all drugs in our Irish society, get involved, please. Your country needs you. Right. We'll pack up a bowl and we will certainly say goodbye then. Anything else there? All about education certainly is Bhagwan's son, and DB Woodcraft saying cheers, Martin. Not a bother at all. Educational on these matters is important. It is, Podge, as well, agreeing with the need for education on these matters. There's certainly a lot of disinformation being spilled in the media, as we seen earlier in the show, coming from RTE. The damage is done there now, like, and it's up to us to try to undo that as campaigners, as educators out there within our communities, because what Drew Harris said on RT News is so far from the truth in terms of the harms that would be done in society if we were to legalise drugs. That's so far from the truth, and it's up to us now to try to undo that harm, because there was certainly harm done. That goes out to a wide audience, that goes out to the older generation as well. And quite often or not, they will listen to RT News and take it as gospel. So, you know, we've to overcome that, and it's hard. Again, as I say, like, why didn't RT News have on any of the 100 campaigners that they referred to that opposed what the government is doing in opposing the Prohibition and the Misuse of Drugs Act? Why? Because they're invested in this campaign of disinformation. They certainly are. So it's up to us, guys, to overcome it and get involved. Help educate people, whether it be just down at your local pub, whether it be fucking at work, whether it be down at the hairdressers. Try to engage in these conversations, you know. Try to get people to see what it's like on the other side of the fence here, and not to be fucking living on the prohibitionist side all the time. Green Tea says, if you have a Chinese takeaway plastic container with a lid, take some kitchen roll, make a little wet, and then wring as much out as possible. Your seeds need your seeds in the roll in a container with the lid on. That's a good way to keep the moisture up, alright. As well, if you don't have the Chinese container, then you might have some aluminum foil around. That's another good way of doing it. That's another good way of doing it. Get your wet paper tissue, wet it up again. Make sure you don't have any excess water in there. You don't want to drown your seeds, really. Within 24 to 48 hours, then you should see some germination happening. Any other comments? Right, we blaze one. We hydrate first up. Daily Talker says, lads, I'm missing most of the stream and I'm sickened. Sorry about that, Daily Talker. Again, get over and subscribe to Martin's World Clips if you haven't done so already, because these shows will be broken up into more bite-sized clips. Homing in on the more important parts, they are done by a volunteer, I will add, out in the community. So again, I will thank them very much for this. They are not an expert in it, as they said themselves, but they're more than happy to try and learn and help the campaign. So again, I appreciate their efforts. It's Martin World's Clips over on YouTube. So give that a subscribe, guys, if you haven't done so already. Civil disobedience, yeah. Podge, great show, Martin, and have a brilliant weekend, and I hope everyone else has a great weekend, and stay safe, guys. You too, Podge, have a lovely weekend, man, and I hope that we be able to cross paths soon. If you're up around the city, Podge, over the weekend, make it known, man. We can catch up and have an old chat. Excuse me. Guru Gangsta, God, what's happening? Great show, Martin, and thanks for being our voice. Not a bother at all, and thanks as well for your contribution to the show, Guru Gangster. God, it's much appreciated. Daily Talker says, first I hear of the clips, somehow we'll check them out ASAP. As soon as I get home. Nice one. I thought you forgot to pee there for a second. Great show, Martin, appreciate it. Nice one, Martin, enjoy the show. And that's coming in from Zombie. It's happening, Zombie. Hope you're good, man. I'll be tuning into yourselves later on this evening. Looking forward to some more rock paper scissors as well in the future. Get over there to Percy's Grow Room, guys, if you want to get involved, and in the rock paper scissors competition that the guys run over in High and Homegrown. It's really fun, and you can win yourself some good, cool prizes. Cannabis seeds included, yes. And Irish Hemp Harvest, I have about 5 clips for the channel. Irish Hemp Harvest, what I'll do actually in a minute is I'll hook yourself up to the channel, so you too, along with Guru Gangsta Go, will be able to upload some clips and contribute to the clips section of the show. Again, the show is the clips will be for the people, by the people, I believe. So whatever you think is worthy of cutting up and getting out there in a smaller, more bite-sized piece, in hope of getting to the unconverted. By all means, yeah. If that's something that you don't mind me doing, I'll certainly make it happen. So yeah. You're the cunning lad, keep her lit, boy, and stay blazed. Yes, man, 2 hours under the bag. I think that's a record actually to date for 420 News, a 2 hour show. I don't think I've done that in the past, so yeah, I'm going to have to get up and stretch legs there now and sit down here for another fucking hour for a meeting. Or actually, geez, 35 minutes up to 25 past. I better get to that meeting. So right, guys, I'm going to have to love ye, beautiful people, and I'll leave ye. I'll be back on Monday with more 420 news for you guys, and have a lovely weekend, everybody. Stay safe out there. Be wide of Operation Tara, guys. Don't look suspicious. Don't be reaching down into the passenger footwell of your car, because if you do so, you might get your car searched. Cops are looking for anybody looking suspiciously, because there's 321 of them now full time, man, and they're fucking bored. They want to get the young fellas with their bags of weed. So be wide, guys. Watch your backs. Stay blazed though. Keep her lit. Much love. Peace.